Hi everybody, hope you're doing well. Today's video is going to be all about me applying some protective coating to the hood of this Porsche Boxster 987 convertible. And actually this is my car, so I thought it would be a good idea to put on a protective hydrophobic coating on the roof, given that actually the hood of the car it's in really good condition, and the time of year that we get into, it's going to start raining pretty badly. I only got this car a few days ago, and I really don't want to expose it to the elements without giving it at least some level of protection, albeit I'm not going to go with an all-out detail and apply lots of different coatings to the car for quite some time yet. And as you can see, I'm not really in the environment to do it. So I just wanted to quickly run you through what I'm going to do, what the process is, and what sort of makeshift equipment I've put together to do it. As you can see, I thought it would be worth just protecting some of the glass surfaces. Use some carrier bags to do that, you don't really need anything particularly fancy. And that's really to protect, let this car go past. And that's really to protect the glass from any overspray from when I am spraying the protective coating onto the hood of the car. Not that I think it would do anything particularly damaging, but really it's more for neatness and me being pedantic. So what I've chosen to use is, as you can see down here, something called Gtechniq Smart Fabric. Now I've used this before in the past. It is absolutely phenomenal stuff. It's pretty cost effective for the money, in my opinion. It's really easy to work with, and I think it does a pretty smack on job. If you haven't seen this before, there's some videos that you can check out on YouTube. I bought mine from theultimatefinish.co.uk. They've been my detailing supplier for absolutely years, and they do a fantastic job. But the essence of how this works is you spray it into whatever fabric you want. It might be your car mats, it might be your upholstery. In this case it's the convertible roof material. You let the material get soaked with a Smart Fabric spray. Once it's dry, you generally apply a second coating, and then what happens is it puts a really nice protective barrier, breathable barrier, over that fabric and gives it incredible water repellency properties, and the water just slides right off. But before I've done that, obviously what I just showed you is I've covered the glass surfaces, and what I also decided to do was just remove any dust and debris using these lint rollers. So they're not too sticky in that it might end up damaging the fabric of the roof, but equally they're good enough so that actually it'll lift off that first layer of dirt and make it a bit cleaner, a bit easier to work with. I'll just quickly show you the actual condition of the roof. It's pretty good. This is how I picked it up. To my eye at the moment, it doesn't really need a deep clean. You can see there's a few marks on it, which you can see in the right light, but they're actually from where the hood falls into the frame and the various components of the subframe, rather than any dirt itself. If you go a little bit closer, you can see there's a scratch or two there, but by and large it doesn't actually look like the hood needs a deep clean first. Now, I've certainly had cars that did definitely need a deep clean before putting any protective coating on, but I don't think this does. I mean, the odd mark here or there, but I can live with it. And so this is after I have lifted off the dust and the light bits of debris that were on there, and just to prove it needed doing, as they say, here's what I did earlier. There's a little bit on there again, it wasn't too bad, tiny bits of leaf that just kind of fallen on the hood from being driven into this underground parking bay rather than being ingrained into the hood. Again, not too bad, and this was really the final piece that was left. Quite impressed. It hasn't actually, like I said, damaged the hood in any way. So almost ready to start applying the coating. Now, what I've also taken out to apply the coating are some nitrile gloves, at the recommendation of my regular detailer and friend who I talked to. What he recommended was spray liberally to start with, and make sure you got some gloves on, and actually gently just rub it into the fabric of the hood itself to make sure it gets fully absorbed. Wait until it's dry, then come back and apply a second coating. So here goes. I'm going to start applying the first layer of coating now. Okay, so I've done the first half of the hood, and albeit I didn't actually spray that liberally, just because I wanted to be a bit cautious to start with, and not go completely nuts. Make sure I got the process right, and I wasn't making any mistakes. But broadly speaking, it's fairly easy to apply. Now, if you look on the Gtechniq bottle, what it does say is, if you look at the bottom two bullet points, it says thoroughly soak fabric and allow to dry, and then it says avoid overspraying on surrounding substrates. And what I was finding was, I'd spray, let's say, a quarter section or a half panel at a time, and then I'd run my hands along it to gently rub it in both directions. But inadvertently, and you can't help it, you do get a little bit of overspray just on the edges and on the rubber bits here. So what I did was grab myself a microfiber and just got rid of any overspray that way. It is really hard to see in this light. You'll see what I see now when I turn this flash off. It's quite hard to see in this light, but at the same time, acceptable risk, especially because I don't want to be doing this outdoors, so I don't really have much of a choice at the moment. Once I go around and do the other half, I'll come back to this side again and start spraying a little bit more liberally. Just wanted to share that tip with you. Okay, so probably about 10 minutes or so it's taken me, just being careful. Job done. I'm trying to be quick to show you it. Sort of soaking in there. I have rubbed it in a fair bit without trying to agitate any of the pile or the fibre itself. As you can see, I did take the instructions, soak thoroughly as literally as I could, and it dries quite quickly. So I'm not saying you've got to move fast, but if you are getting a bit of overspray, just make sure you're on top of it. From what I can smell, it has a decent amount of alcohol in to help it dry quicker. Quite a strong smell as well, so I would say make sure you're in a well ventilated area. This bit wasn't particularly challenging to do, you just got to be a bit more careful. You can see a tiny bit of overspray there. Actually, I just need to buff that off with a microfiber. But yeah, you can twist the nozzle onto a bit more of a directed jet rather than the wider spray nozzle, and just target those bits. Put the microfiber down on the paintwork there and another one over the glass to try and avoid as much overspray as you can. But that's it, and can't drive the car for 24 hours now, as in can't risk getting it wet for 24 hours. So I'll leave it to dry, come back tomorrow for the second coat, and hopefully be good to go in a couple of days. And I'll show you the results with a bottle of water. Okay, so it's probably been about half an hour to 40 minutes since I've finished. As you can see, I've taken the makeshift protective gear off. Everything's been put away now, and if I come in a little bit closer, you can just see a bit of patching from where it's still drying, but by and large has more or less started to dry quite quickly. So yeah, getting along okay. Checked again in with my detailer. Actually, I was wrong. I don't need to wait 24 hours before I apply another coating. He just said wait a good while, but don't let the car get wet for 24 hours. So that's the rule I'm going by. But yeah, so far so good. As they say, proof is in the pudding. So here's the cloth that I used for the overspray, and it should have dried by now, so let's see how it performs if I throw a bit of water on it. You can see beautiful hydrophobic properties. Bearing in mind this is just the overspray. This cloth wasn't even soaked on both sides, and after about 20 minutes of drying, the water just seems to be running off nicely. Excellent. Looking forward to seeing how it performs on the hood itself.